recap. Let's start actually on dollar. All right, let's hop into it. This is week 3 of November. Yes, indeed. And yeah, well, we had a nice big range candle here, didn't we? On dollar. So, what do we have on dollar this week? We completed the weekly internal external. Now, was this what I was looking for? No, right? Let's be honest. I did say in the outlook for this week that I was leaning bearish. So there's that. But yeah, I did throw that bearishness out relatively quickly, to be honest. If we look at dollar, we can see that we had like a tiny bearish gap here, right? And we inversed it like on Monday, yeah, and then Tuesday we tap it and we get a continuation, and then Wednesday we had the big displacement, and then Thursday, Friday we kind of had some chop, but this was like Friday was pretty clean. I mean Thursday too. I guess Thursday's consolidation led to Friday taking Thursday's low, right, tapping into this daily gap and then running the highs because we had left perfect equal highs with the weekly external. Now, if we look at this from the perspective of a weekly internal external, the 4-hour market maker model, on dollar, this was not clean. Let's be real. But we don't trade dollar anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, so it delivered, and pound was in a weekly bearish gap as well, right? Which we can see here, where pound also made a very decent push lower. But just like not the 14-hour chart, the 4-hour chart, just like dollar, if we look at pound's 4-hour chart and we try to like frame a setup in here, the only order block that I personally see is here, and this order block offers probably an astounding 1-to-1 RR, something like that, right into the external 1.14. Yeah, so I have no interest in trading that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, no trade on pound here. Now we do have this daily bearish gap that we kind of formed on dollar there midweek that we also have on pound. Now, pound didn't reach up into it, but you know who did reach up into it was euro. And euro is the reason I threw out the bullishness on euro and the bearishness on dollar relatively quickly. Because I had mentioned in the outlook going into the week, I'm watching this gap here for a potential move into these relative equal highs. Monday we inversed it, and that was that. To be honest, right? Like there was nothing else to look for long, so I kind of just was like, all right, let's see what we do. And we started displacing lower, and we got a bearish gap here, and then we tapped the bearish gap on Friday. And this was a bit tricky because, like, if you look here, we have the, I don't know who I'm addressing this to, by the way. I don't know, this is more for myself anyway. But if we look here, we have this daily bullish gap that we did run down into. Now, for me, like, this gap is, like, so old that, like, I don't necessarily see it as, like, a key level for a trade, right? Like, I like gaps like this, or like this, where it's kind of like, they're fresh, we tap them, we go, and not we make them and we run for like 10 days of price action until we're back in them after we had this huge range higher and lower. So, yeah, but there was a like theoretical setup here on the hourly chart. I did not take it just based on what I just said with how old it was. I looked through the whole backtest data and I was like, yeah, never have I ever taken a trade off a gap that's that old. Anyway, I just mentioned that dollar made equal highs here on Thursday, right? With the weekly external, and that's the line on the chart here. And euro also had not taken the sell side down here. It still hasn't. But yeah, what did this mean for me? This meant, okay, by the time we had Thursday's price in and we had our daily bearish gap and we have our equal highs on dollar. Now I'm looking for longs, right off rip, easy peasy. Longs on dollar means shorts on euro. I'm looking for a continuation off those daily gaps, right? Instantly going into the day. So we come into the day and we're looking at this, and then at in London, we run up into the daily gap and we have SMT with pound, as you can see here, right? Pound also, we saw that on the daily chart earlier, or I showed that on the daily chart earlier, where pound did not run up into the daily gap. Well, euro did. So euro runs up into that daily gap. And then the next candle is displacement lower after we left this long wick. We have a order block here, right? This candle takes out a short-term low. Does it hit the daily gap like it could, right? To be like a super clean order block, you'd kind of want maybe Friday. You want these two candles to kind of be up close into there, and then a big down close candle to close below them. No, like it wasn't like the picture perfect order block. Was it a order block though? Yes, because it takes out this short-term high right here. Bang. And it's the last up close candle. So anyway, 4 a.m. London time, or not London time, 4 a.m. New York in London session, we get a very aggressive close below, unfortunately. And I set my limit right at the order block, targeting the basically the external, right? 2R was like just past the external. But yeah, obviously 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. super bearish candles, and at 7 a.m. we had first continuation and a retrace to start New York, which then we had a nice internal external off this hourly gap in New York. But either way, did not get a fill for that trade. So yeah, that was a bit unfortunate, but we move. Now, NQ. Let's move into NQ. NQ did what we were looking for, basically, to sum it up, right? Going into the week, I had said I want to see indices run for that sell side pool below the big below the big down close candles, right? So what I have marked out here, which we did end up taking. We actually had basically the same kind of day here on Thursday, right? Like if we look at the whole range from Judas to bottom, that's 1,200 handles, which, yeah, it's the same as this. That's kind of funny that we had this huge down close candle here and then another one here to take out this one. That's kind of odd. Anyway, starting the week, we're looking at this daily gap for shorts, right? We tap it on Monday and we get to move from internal to external. Bang. Then Wednesday we get a retracement higher. Thursday we continue that retracement at first, and then we retap that daily gap and just fucking send it lower. And yeah, same story on the S. And if we drop to the hourly chart real quick, no, not bonds, we can see that all the way back over here. We had a bearish order block, and yeah, we had a win. So this was the tap of the daily gap, right? Nice bearish order block formed here. We had SMT with YM, where YM made a lower high, right? Tapped the order block, sold off. I think already hit TP here, then retraced to the order block, and continued lower eventually. So, spot on. Spot on indices, of course. No, I'm kidding. Then let's look at gold. Now, gold this week, man, and silver, I guess. I fucked with it. Low key. Anyway, what did we do this week? We had that big sell-off on Friday, right? Retrace into this daily gap on both gold and silver. Monday kind of continued a bit lower. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, we got a retracement higher into that freshly formed daily bearish gap. And then from there, we sold off pretty aggressively on silver, semi-aggressively on gold. On gold, we're still very much respecting the daily gap. I'm pretty sure, yeah, silver is too. The bullish gap, I mean, right? So we're kind of in between two gaps. But the reason I say I really liked what was going on, well, first things first, we had a setup in here, which looking like at it from here is like, really, did we? But yeah, we did. We had like SMT here at the short-term low, close above the order block, and we ended up getting stopped out on silver. Anyway, the reason I like this weekly price action though, and I thought it was kind of clean, is we had like this really nice hourly SMR here after we tapped into the daily gap, right? We had SMT at the highs on the hourly chart. And then we got this close below this up close candle here that ran the highs on gold. So we had an order block, and we closed below that. And now if you remember, if we go here to the 4-hour chart and on gold, we were still in this weekly internal external, right? Right. On the 4-hour chart, like we've been in this trade for a year and a half, it feels like. Anyway, what did this give us? This gave us a opposing setup on the same thing, which means I have the choice to, per my model rules, close the long because we have an opposing setup. So I set a short, closed the long. Did the short get filled? No. This was kind of unlucky week in terms of, yeah, we had a win and a loss, but we had 4 setups. 3 of them played out, 1 didn't. But of the 3 that played out, 2 of them never retraced to the order block before playing out. So it was a bit tough in that term and in that sense. But overall, very fine. And then this is very choppy price action after this SMR, right? Silver, a bit more bearish, and then eventually a bit more bullish on Friday. But yeah, overall, decent week, I guess. I mean, majors did not really do as I expected going into the week, but I think it was clear quickly that they wouldn't, so I was kind of in sync with them, at least for the later portion of the week. Indices played ball, you know what I'm saying? And gold and silver, I mean, it's basically like, if we just look at like this, it's consolidation, right? So I'd say gold and silver, since they have had that like super clean long run higher, we kind of have to have that expectation that they might just chill out a bit. So yeah, I guess that's cool.